Our Saturday morning guest author is Dr Themba Ralph Mkhize, who has recently published his book titled The Journey of a Township Boy. In this book, Dr Mkhize squashes the negative perception that South African townships and rural areas lack potential and talent, and goes on to say that there needs to be identified, harnessed and supported. And he joins us now on Zoom to take us through how he did just that through this offering. A very good morning to you, Dr Mkhize. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Morning, Simpiwe and the viewers at home. Thank you for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure. Good to have you on the show this morning, Dr Mkhize. Now, in your own words, how would you describe what this book is all about and what really propelled you to write it?
Simpiwe, when I wrote this book, The Journey of a Township Boy, I made a bold claim and argued that human beings, despite the conditions and the environment they come from, possess the potential to dream big and achieve their dreams. So these are the adventures and experiences based on my real life circumstances. And I'm hoping that through my journey, the youth and people in South Africa and the world over can be inspired by such experiences.
You start off this book describing and providing a bit of history and background of Umlazi Township. Tell us more about this.
As I've indicated, Simpiwe, that the intention here was to provide my life story, but whilst telling the story, also provide some information and knowledge, for people to consume and critique. For example, where I come from, which is Umlazi Township, there is a history behind the establishment of the township, which it starts in the 1920s, at Katomena, in Durban, where migrant workers had to come and find space within urban environment. So they were all there, and when it came to the time when Apartheid, the Group Areas Act, was implemented by the previous government, people had to be placed in townships like Kwamashu, Guguletu, Umlazi, and all other township areas. So Umlazi got established that way around the 1967 or so. Yes.
Now, you also go into detail and discuss your schooling journey from primary to high school, yeah?
Yes, Simpiwe, I do talk about my journey, from primary to high school. And highlight, the type of teachers that taught us despite the circumstances. For example, you'll recall that you had a Department of Education that had 4 departments for whites, coloreds, Indians, and blacks. And furthermore, you even had learners being subjected to 10 sub-ethnic groups in terms of the Department of Education based on the homeland system. So in the name of preserving cultural uniqueness, of which we all know it was contrary to that. So, but fortunately, but our teachers at the time were very good in narrating history, the heritage and where we come from, and how to negate what is intended in terms of the inferior education that was supposed to, serve the purpose of putting blacks in their place. So I'm highlighting that caliber and that role of educators and teachers of that time, and also saying we can still tap into how things were done back then.
Yes.
Our townships have really afforded us many leaders in business, in politics, and in education and otherwise. And then that tells you that our perception and understanding of township and rural areas needs to be revisited and reinterrogated, and also for us to tap into what is it that were assets
Yes.
that built those communities, especially when you look at the concept of Ubuntu, in townships and rural areas, it's Ubuntu concept that thrived. I am because we are.
Yes.
Singabantu sonke, and guys treated women differently from now. You never had circumstances where you find men killing women and even going as far as burning them. So
now, Dr.
we need to
Mkhize,
challenge
when you
this.
speak of Ubuntu, just talk us through how you share the importance of giving back by supporting quality education and excellence in townships and rural schools.
One author once said, you can't live a perfect day without doing something for someone who will never pay you back.
Yes, yes.
So it is critical that, we go back and remember, this book is not only meant just to read it and then it's a book that is also a challenging and inspiring action, so to speak. So I'm arguing there to say individuals from township and rural areas, let's go back, let's adopt a school, adopt a learner, mentor somebody from the community where you come from, and let's start going back and also uplifting the communities where we come from.
Now, the last part of the book, Dr. Mkhize, looks at the challenges currently facing South Africa, where you offer possible solutions on how to steer the ship out of the troubled waters that we find ourselves in. Talk to us more about this and what these possible solutions are.
Simpiwe, one activist writer, Alex Laguma, once said, you can't write in a vacuum, as a writer, So now it's important to reflect on your immediate environment and also offer solutions and where you can. And that's where now this chapter is the focus of this chapter 8 in my book, to say, how can South Africa reignite economy? How can we remove unemployment? How can we close inequality gap? And also, how can we support entrepreneurs and also learners coming from townships and rural areas, such that we make sure that we grow a different cohort of leaders? And also, how do we make sure they also enter higher education space and also, achieve to higher levels, at PhD level and so on.
Okay.
But then, most importantly...
All right, unfortunately, we have to end it there, Dr. Mkhize. Great chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Simpiwe, for the time.
All right, thank you. That was Dr. Themba Ralph Mkhize, and he's just joined us via Zoom to help us unpack his recently released book titled The Journey of a Township Boy.